What up, Greater Long Beach? Welcome back to your home for everything local sports. It's JJ.
And Mike, and this preview video is brought to you by Naples Rib Company, the perfect place to cater your team's next event.
Like two old dudes playing chess in the park. They are moving at another speed with more complexity than anybody else playing out there. And when they play, everybody pays attention. And you sit there and you're like, are they playing the same game as us? Because it just looks like it's at another level. That is St. John Bosco modern day football.
This Friday, 7:30 p.m. at El Camino College, we will obviously be there, maybe literally with bells on. And I just want to say, as a reporter, how grateful I am, and I know we both are, to have a game like this. You don't often know when a great thing is going to happen in your life. Sometimes stuff just comes out of the blue. But we've had this on the schedule for about 12 months that you know you're going to get two of the top 5 teams in the country. It's a league game. They played in the CIF Championship, and it's on the schedule, 7:30 p.m. at Elko.
They've got the history. This is the 10th time Bosco and Mater Dei have played football in the last 8 years. Mater Dei won 19 of the first 23 meetings between these schools. And then back comes Bosco. They win 6 consecutive. They go on a league winning streak. They win 4 straight league titles under Jason Negro. Last year, though, Mater Dei got its revenge and snapped the 23-game league winning streak of Bosco. Jason Negro said it's the best rivalry he's ever been a part of. Honestly, we haven't really covered a better rivalry in any sport, really.
Well, I just think because of the stability of private schools, they're able to maintain that top-notch excellence. I mean, for me, the sort of neighborhood rivalry of those Poly-Lakewood games in the late 2000s were so fun. But these two teams, you know that they're going to be top 5, top 10 teams in the country year in, year out. Because of that private school stability. And yeah, I mean, we've been at almost every one of those games since Jason Negro got back to Bosco, and they've all been really good games.
The quarterbacks will be the story on Friday night for Mater Dei. JT Daniels, one of the best in the country. He's got almost a 150 quarterback rating this year with almost 2,000 yards already passing, which is just ridiculous. But the quarterback situation at Bosco is what everybody is talking about. Real Mitchell, the senior, came in as the starter after leading Bosco to the CIF State Championship last year, their second in 4 years. The sophomore, DJ Unguilele, was sitting in the wings just waiting. He comes into a fourth quarter on the road at St. John's, a top team in the nation, and leads a 14-point comeback. They share time last week at Orange Lutheran, and actually they both played really well. They both had over 250 total offense while they were on the field. Bosco wins big. Everything seems copacetic after the game.
JJ comes back to record a video and says, I think Bosco's got actually one of the rare situations where you'd say they're actually better because of split time at quarterbacks.
We go to practice on Tuesday. I watch Real Mitchell practice on Tuesday, throwing the ball around. And then on Tuesday night, a surprise to everyone, Real Mitchell tweets on his official Twitter that, to correct the narrative, I have an undisclosed injury, end quote. Obviously, everybody just freaks out, but hey, you have to remember, these are kids. They've got to get cleared by medical professionals. According to Jason Negro, he has not been cleared. Therefore, the super sophomore DJ is going to start on Friday in the biggest game in the country this year.
Well, and I would just say 2 things. Number one, I hope that's not the last time we've seen Real Mitchell play.
Amen.
I mean, you and I have really enjoyed watching that guy play the last year and a half. He led them to some really fun and memorable wins, especially in the playoffs last year.
I will never forget watching that kid run into the end zone against Corona Centennial. For Mike and my money, one of the best games we've ever seen. And the look on his face when he came back to the sideline, I'll forever remember that.
And, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? I mean, you know, this maybe an injury, you know, maybe obviously difficult as a senior for a sophomore to come in and sort of start splitting time. But I just think as a writer who has been a part of, along with you, writing this kid's story, it deserves a better ending than a regular season win over Orange Lutheran. So I hope this isn't the end for Real Mitchell as a Bosco Brave.
Without question, the offense looked great against Orange Lutheran.
Right. So the second point I'd make is I think this is going to be one way or another a really fascinating first chapter, really, in sort of this saga of DJ Unguilele, who, as you mentioned, I mean, he's considered by a lot of people to be the top, or certainly one of the top quarterbacks in that sophomore class. He's got offers from Alabama, which means he's got offers from anywhere that he wants to go to play quarterback. And he'll kind of get to not just determine what the future looks like for Bosco these next 2.5 years, but what the future looks like for a major NCAA college program that he'll commit to, and then they'll start building around him. I mean, he is a guy that will be a big part of the football conversation on Fridays and Saturdays, and then quite possibly on Sundays for years and years and years to come. And Friday at Elko at 7:30 p.m. is Chapter 1. DJ versus Mater Dei in sort of this big showdown. And, you know, I gotta say, everything we've seen from the kid and his family and the Bosco community is just excitement to see what he really can do with the bright lights on him. Because we saw him last year as a freshman. You could certainly see why everyone was so excited about him, but he was not the best quarterback on the team. If you talk about throwing the ball downfield, he missed a lot of throws in practice. The talent was there, but it wasn't refined. This year, we came out and watched that kid in August, and you just go, it's impossible to imagine that he's gonna be on the bench the whole year. He's making every throw at every yard mark downfield.
Just like Real Mitchell was the perfect quarterback for last year's Bosco team, I think DJ is the better style quarterback for this year's Bosco team. The running game is not as dynamic as it was last year, so with the talent that they have on the outside and the fact that they will need to throw the ball a little bit more, DJ just fits a little better. And honestly, I think it fits a little better for this game because if you look at a Mater Dei team that's so good and so stacked.
You don't want to try and run the ball 60 times against this Mater Dei team.
You don't, but their youngest group is the defensive secondary. So if you're going to attack something, usually in high school football, you attack the inexperience. And if you're going to have an inexperienced quarterback, it's better to attack the inexperienced unit.
Normally when you talk about a sophomore versus a senior, you're talking about a less physically developed person. But with DJ, I think you're also giving yourself the best chance of a quarterback to go up against a front that strong because he's so big. I mean, we started using Big Ben and Cam Newton analogies in this kid when he was a freshman because you really do just look at him and go, I can't see many high school football players tackling that kid one-on-one because he's just so big. But yeah, last year Real was such a threat out of the backfield as a runner. In addition to making those quick throws and smart reads that he made, he was perfect for that offense. I don't think you'd start this year's DJ over last year's Real Mitchell on that team. I think he was the perfect guy for that system. This year, like you said, if you look at what's their path to winning a game, especially against a Mater Dei, it's going to be throwing the ball downfield a lot, and at least in the games that they've both played in so far this season, DJ has been the better option there.
That being said, the last two games that these two teams have played has been decided by the running game because you look at the regular season game that Mater Dei wins to break Bosco's winning streak. They started it with the run, surprisingly, and then they ended it with the run. Remember that turnover late in the game when Bosco led? Mater Dei turned around and ran the ball 6 straight times just right down their throat to take that lead, and they wouldn't let it go. And then you flip the script into the championship game where Bosco runs the ball 50 plus times and runs away with the championship. So I think on Friday night, he who runs first runs best. The team that establishes the run quickly will have that in their bag of tricks later in the game, and I think that's going to be very important.
Back to the passing game, though, I think the matchups that a lot of people, myself included, are most excited about is to see who's lining up against who on the edge. If you look at, for example, a receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the top guys in the country for Mater Dei, and then Chris Steele, a defensive back who's one of the top guys in the country for Bosco, I'm really excited to see how that plays out. Now, Mater Dei obviously has some wins over some really talented teams. I think this Bosco secondary will for sure be the best one they've faced so far, and it's tough to find a weakness because they're all rangy, they can all cover, and they can all tackle.
We have got coverage all over the Press Telegram website for this game, previews, videos, everything. I did a feature story on Sal Spina, defensive lineman for Bosco, who has come back from a major knee injury and is one of their leaders on defense.
And I did a feature on Georgie boy George Halani, the running back who's had to step up this year. And if, like JJ said, Bosco is going to come out and establish the run early, it'll be on Halani's shoulders to be the guy to carry the load.
No matter what happens on Friday night, everybody's going to be talking about it. So you've got to lace your boots up and come back for all the coverage.
We'd like to thank all of our sponsors, including Papalucci is a great place to eat down on 2nd Street. You already know we're going to both be at Elko for Bosco Mater Dei. We'll have the live updates at PT Gazette Sports on Twitter, and then we'll have videos up right away after the game. So be sure and come back for all that coverage.